you freaking doing, my guys? We're back at it again, and this time it's part 2 of the drum mix tutorial. Are you ready? I'm talking to myself, and now I'm talking to you. We're gonna go through this mix once and for all. In the last video, we ended at the hi-hat, and we talked about, do we want this 900 Hertz? I took away some in the sides. I will show you the cymbal mixer and also the Soothe2, which I have on the cymbals and which I missed in the last video. So let's start and let's look at some nice stuff. Let's play some music, yeah? I'm gonna lower the volume. So a reminder here, I have on my stereo out a channel EQ, and I put some of the low end here and some of the highs. And I also have the grand finale, which have a lot of compression and a lot of volume added. And I also have the L2 here, which I boost some volume. For comparison, let's turn off the grand finale. And let's use the L2 to get some more volume here. So now we have a limited signal here, but get a more clear picture of how the mix sounds with no top-down mixing or mastering on at all. Let's turn off the channel EQ as well. Knowing that I forced myself, this is nothing new. So you could add some more low end to the the kick or some other stuff, the guitars and stuff, but I do this top-down mixing here, where I do this on some bus, the stereo out, so I don't need to do it on every individual track. And I also do, just to get closer to the final sound, I use this and some compression and distortion. And let's turn down the L2 again to 5.5. We will listen with the other mastering plugins on as well later on. Okay, let's move into the cymbal mixer. Are you ready? Are you ready? Yes, please be. Okay. So in the cymbals here, we have, the different mics, the hi-hat, the X-hat, the ride, the FX cymbals, overheads, room, close and far. We're going to look into the rooms as well. But here in the settings, you also have a cymbal mixer. So if you look at the top here, you have the, let's see if I can, the cymbals here. Click on the mixer tab here. Okay, guys. And you can see my settings here. I have lowered, in the rooms, I have lowered the cymbals here a bit. I don't remember what came in the preset I chose in Invasion and what I've done actually in this here, but I think I've lowered some of the cymbals in the rooms. I guess I usually do. If you don't have this option, you can also lower the highs with an EQ if you want to. Cymbals in the rooms, guys, a little bit maybe, but not too much. If you look at the overheads here, I've done stuff. Splash, they're kind of low in volume, so I bumped them up a bit. I've done a little kick curve here, corresponds to the velocities. You have 127 different velocity layers. So I made the curve so that the lower values sound louder. All right, guys, we have now worked through the cymbals and checked out the cymbal mixer. We're gonna check out the Soothe that I have on the overhead as well, and also on the hi-hat. This is a preset from Nolly, I think. It's nice presets in this plugin. So usually you can just use a nice plugin. Wow, this is a nice plugin, so I use it. And you can also use nice presets in this plugin and then just dial the depth. So what I do here is I go into the drums and I choose the Cymbal Smooth by Nolly, our guy, our savior, our king. It's cool, man. So if we check out this dude, mainly his presets. Let's listen what it does. It takes away the things I always talk about, the 4K, which we don't want. You know that by now. And if I bypass it here, we should look at a cymbal place. Doesn't do a lot on here, but all right. I have the same, or not the same, but I have a Soothe here, and I use the harsh hi-hat presets. I think also on the drums, the annoying shaker and the tambourine, rubbish tambourine, is nice as well to remove those annoying frequencies. Let's check out the verse with a hi-hat again. I cannot fall asleep. This one could work more, I think. Yeah, you don't want to remove too much of the attack. I cannot fall asleep knowing that I force myself. Right, guys. Let's see. We have the cymbals. We have some snare, kick, and some toms as well. We're gonna look at. So, woo, your back plays. Okay, so we have our snare here. We have our kick. We have our toms and rooms. We're gonna look at some reverb on the snare. I have a snare tutorial. You can check it out here if you want to. And we're gonna check out the kick, toms, and rooms. Let's go with snare. What I've done here is I have the snare top, the snare bottom, and the snare trigger. And all of these three guys, they go through this snare bus here. So every guy here go to the bus right here. Wow, it's a nice painting right there. On the snare bus, I send the snare to the snare verb here, and I have the verbiage, and it's free, but you can also pay for it. A good reverb. And you can see the settings here. I have no pre-delay on this one, but maybe I should actually, because I can let the snare through a bit, you know, the attack on the snare. But what I've done, let's listen to it. I cannot fall asleep. Is that I have a compressor on it, and let's listen without it. It sounds bigger. Instead of having pre-delay in here in the verbiage, you can add a compressor. It's not the same thing, but it pushes down the attack a bit, you know, the start of the reverb push down to let the snare transient through, and then the reverb comes afterwards. The snare does not get drenched in reverb. And you see the settings here. I have middle room size, and I do a lot of damping. We can listen to it and see the differences here. So kind of a dark sound here, darker here, yeah. And I also have max wet on this one here. And I also have a nice EQ here. You have to use this at all times. It's the best EQ curve you have seen. Let's move on. Okay, make it huger, make it compressier. It's what I've done here. With reverb, without reverb, guys. Okay, let's move on to the kick. Are you ready? So we have our kick sum here. I have done the same thing here, but I don't think I have... there's number 2. Let's check out the kick here. So we have the kick sum here, sub kick and kick trigger. So I have all three go to the kick sum here. So I don't have external channels for all three here. And as you can see here, I don't have a lot of rooms here. So I don't have a lot of kick in the rooms. I have a bit overhead. And let's check out the snare as well. I have the braided Tasmanian blackwood. This is nice. I have a little more room because snare in rooms is nice. Are nice, plural. Snares are nice in rooms. Not so much in overheads here. I do have, and I use external reverb. Let's get back to the kick. Okay, let's go back to Logic. On the kick sum, I have an EQ. And I have the smiley face, you know. And this kick has a lot of low end. I had a curve here as well. If you really want that low end, you could push this one, but every time I cannot fall asleep knowing that I force myself. I find it in this mix, I wanted a tighter sound, wanted the bass comfortable more, so I went with this curve. And at 63, I usually have the low end on the kick, and around, you see here, I have done a bell curve, took away some of the 130 hertz to let the bass through. And we can also look at the bass now when we're talking about the kick, because I have side chained. Let's see if I can find it. An EQ. So what I did now, I opened a EQ here, a Fab Filter EQ. Let's see what it does. I cannot fall asleep knowing that I force myself. And let's sidechain the kick with the bass. So when the kick hits, I have this 63 hertz bell on the bass EQ, And I have side chained it here, and you can do this here if you just move, make it a dynamic band here. You just move this knob here and you pull it down, and it would dynamically push down this bell curve when the kick hits. And apparently the side chain went away now when I moved this knob, so let's find it. Can it be this one? Yeah, I think it's not. It's another bus. Oh, this is pain. Logic can do better. I think it's so messy. Kick some. Okay, maybe. Yeah. Oh yeah, so that's the side chain kick actually. When we can talk about this, I have a separate side chain channel for the kick actually. In this case, I used the normal kick sum and sent it through the side chain here. You can also have a separate channel if you want to have the, the side chain independently from what you do on this channel here. I have sent the kick to this side chain kick channel here on the bus, and I have made it so it is pre-fader, which makes it so the kick to 0, the side chain kick won't be affected, so it will sound anyways. And then on the side chain kick channel here, I have no output selected here actually. So what I have done here is I have done like this. Instead of stereo out or a bus or so, I have no output because I don't need this to sound. I don't need to hear it. I just want it to affect the EQ band here. Okay guys, let's move back to the kick. We have our EQ here. I have taken away some of the middles. I don't want that boxy sound, and I have some of the high end as well to get that clicky, high click sound. Can I freeze this? Where's the freeze, man? Hey, look at that, man. So between 2000 here and 5000 we have our clicky sound, our attack in the kick. From here to here you can bump stuff. You can take the whole spectrum or just take one of them. I do the 5K on this one to get that nasty kick, yow. Okay, are you ready guys? I cannot fall asleep. After the kick, after the EQ on the kick, we have a compressor, works around 545. Let's listen with and without. And it's a preset actually. They have a lot of nice presets here, so I use the punch rock kick. And you should not be afraid to use presets. Often in, say, FabFilter, in these professional plugins, they have a lot of nice presets. So it makes it a bit fatter. And we also have the Spiff. This one is interesting. I will exaggerate this knob and see what it does here. Yeah, it gets Zickman. So it's also a preset here. It's kick defined. You have the drums here and a lot of beefy snare. Nolly again, he's back. Nolly, he's back, man. He's back at it again, man. And you can find whatever you like here. I took this one, the kick defined. I want it to be a bit punchier. Now let's move on to the toms. I don't have a lot of on the toms here. I use them as is. We can check them out in our contact here just for fun. We have our toms here, and I have set the volume in the rooms. You see, I have very low volume here in the rooms because I don't want them to be very huge. I want them to be pretty short and beefy and not so much sustain, you know. They're on a bus here, and it's a parallel bus that I have not been used at the moment. So let's just skip that for now. All right, let's look at the rooms, and then at last to the least, look at our summing stack here. Room close. So here we have our room. You can see I don't have a lot of toms. I don't have a lot of kick. This is a close we're listening to now, just to be clear. I have even muted the room 4 here on the cymbals here. So I have a little of the hi-hat. You can hear that here. And I have mostly snare and some kick. Let's check out the channel here. So I took away some of the low end. I still have a bit of it left, so it will sound more natural. And I put some of the low end in the snare here. Took away some. I think there was a ringing note I found that I thought was not so pleasant. Yow. How we doing? Okay. And I have a dynamic band here as well, just to push down the 6-7K here. But I still have some of them, but I don't want them to, when I use the compressor on this one, I don't want this to too loud. I have already lowered the volume on the cymbals beforehand, so it's not a big problem here. and took away some of the burks again, or the low ear. Let's look at it. Yes, the plask, the Swedish plask, you know. I've said it in another video, but if you do the belly flop, you know, and land on your belly in water, it sounds like this. Are you with me or not? Write in the comments, I tell you. Belly flop sounds you don't want. We go forward to our compressor, and I do a very big compression here. So I have a threshold here on 32, and I do a minus 10 dB reduction here, and 8 in ratio. That's a lot, guys, and some makeup gain to make up for the 10 dB loss here. And you can see the attack here, fairly attack, and a fairly release. And I do the mix knob here at 67, so I don't want it to be, you know, too much of this. Let's listen how it sounds with full. You could argue that you could use actually 100% compression here to get a even more punchier sound. I cannot fall asleep. I think you could bump that up a bit. And we have an EQ after the compressor, so I don't want the kick to be too compressed here. I cannot fall asleep. It's still compressed, but I don't want to hear it as much. And I took away some of the... Oh, I need to solo the stuff. Some of the higher frequencies there. Okay, we also have a Soothe here, and it's a Cymbal Soothe again, and it does quite a lot here. Let's check it out on the first riff here. Yeah, it's not too dangerous. That's a Swedish saying. It's not too dangerous. You could skip this one. Maybe you could also put up the volume on the cymbals a bit as well, actually, if you want that really, you know, the quarter notes here. But that's how I mixed this song there. Let's move on to room 4. And in the room 4, we begin in contact. We have not so much kick. We have snare as usual, not so much toms, and we have no cymbals at all actually there. Let's listen. So this is without the EQ. I do an emphasis on the 200 snare here. Took away some ringing note here. Took away some of the plask. And some of the annoying 4K area and around there. The next EQ looks like this. I took away some cymbals again. Some more cymbals. Yeah, cymbals. Well, I don't have any cymbals, but I took away, you know, the frequencies where the cymbals usually are, and also some annoying frequencies in the snare resides here, I thought. Let's listen with the compressor here. And here again I do a quite hard, you know, parallel compression, or it's not parallel, but it becomes parallel when you push the volume up here. And you blend in the rooms with the rest of the mix. So in that sense, it's parallel bus or compression, but the compressionator itself is, you know, 100% wet. Also here, I have a quite high 6 ratio. I make it minus 10 dB, and it works hard, guys. Bedtime soon, guys. Okay, so room close. Let's listen without and with plugins. So it's kind of plasky, you know, you don't want that belly flop sound. I could maybe add a little more low end to the snare as well. Let's see what we can do with an EQ here. Let's see how in the mix. my later mixes, I've gone more for a bus to the sounding, humanity less breath, viljhjärta, fat snare, really fat snare, and you want the low end, and you just do stuff like this. Sounds cool, man. Sounds cool. Be careful with the cymbals and rooms. You already know that, guys. So, last but not least, in the last, let's check out our summing stack. Are you ready? Yeah, let's go, man. A little bit of compression here. Let's check out the bands. Actually, on this bus, I have a EDM master. I went with the EDM master part 2 of 3. So I have a bit of low end here. And I don't make it work that much. You could argue you could work some more maybe. And I took away some of the highs here. I just wanted it to be a bit more kind to the ears. But I think maybe too much. It's nice to have that as well, to get the punch. And afterwards I have a gain knob which does nothing. I think it's when I play the drums and have low latency mode on here, so I don't get any latency. I gain it up here myself because the volume gets low, man. I have a free clip here. And this doesn't do much at the moment, but we could do a quantic and just make it work a little bit more. Maybe even gain it up, but I don't think we should do that too much though. Download my preset, the free clip will be here as well, and I recommend you turning it on and making it quintic and make it work like, in this case I have minus 14 dB here. That's kind of a lot, but it's cool. Makes it punchy, guys. A clipper cuts off, if you compare a clipper with say a limiter, the limiter pushes down, it cuts off the tops like this, but it tries to push them down, and if you compare it to clipper, it cuts the tops off like very hard. Don't quote me on this, but that is my understanding. And least but not least, in the last, we have our Soothe here, Soothe2. I used the factory defaults here. I thought it was nice. Makes it a bit more non-metallic and pleasant to listen to. Okay, guys, let's take a short review here on every drum and just listen to with and without the small things I've done here on this one. And let's turn on everything. Nice. Let's check out the snare. Together with the rooms. Maybe I have a bit much room there. The snare, should take down the sustain and take away some of the mid frequencies, I think, to make it even better. But it's cool, man. And the overhead. Let's go, man. Bypass. get a bit quiet. I think we have to bump up the volume a bit there to match with the rest of the drums as well. Nice. Okay, guys, that's it for this part 2 of the drums here tutorial. Tell me in the comments if you want a more depth look at some drums here. I have different drum mixes. This was the mix from Reality. I also have newer mixes with different snares, and I also have used the Matte P5 kit a bit now, and I think it's very, very nice. And I have some tips and tricks there if you want, especially my latest riff with the bass, Nolly Bass library, very, very good library as well. And I think the drum mix on there turned out pretty nice. If you want, take a look at my preset here. It's a version of this preset here. I will also do a small extra video where I show the presets I have and how to use them and so on. Bye!